guys, it's Tim from the Board Game Rundown, and I am so lucky to be here with Eric Lang, designer
Hi.
of one of my favorite games of all time, Ankh.
Hey, look at that.
I know. Oh, what's that doing there? That's so
What a
awkward.
coinky dink.
What a coinky dink. Eric was so kind. He was walking by the booth the other day, and I yelled at him, and he stopped. He signed Dan's copy of XCOM. We have not stopped telling that story yet because we love it.
Cool.
And then he was also foolish enough to agree to kind enough to sit down and do an interview with us. So, Eric, how are you, sir?
I am very well. I'm having the time of my life.
Awesome. And you're here just playing games and like a few meetings in there?
No meetings. I'm a gamer. I very intentionally decided I was going to come to Origins, not have any meetings, no play. Like I'm doing a little play testing for fun, but
Sure.
no meetings, no pitches. I bought my own badge. I'm just here to be a gamer.
Wow. Wow, that's so cool. I cannot imagine what I would do if I was like sitting at a table and then you sat down and were like, oh, we're going to play Telestrations, or something.
Oh, I love Telestration.
Me too. Me too. I heard you were playing What the Cup
Yeah.
over at the Op,
Yeah, that's right.
and they were telling me you were trying to break the game
I mean,
or meta it a little bit.
well, they're not wrong. I mean, like
They meant it in a good way.
I'm having fun, but sometimes you can't turn it off.
Right. Yeah, designer brain, right?
That's
You're like,
right.
Okay, was it fun?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked
because
it.
they might get some copies. So I was like, I might try to get over there because I heard.
I think you'd like it if you like party game, like it's party game, bluffing game with a lot of chaos. So
Yeah.
if you're all into agency and control, probably not your thing.
Right.
But if you enjoy over the table play, I think
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's like you've seen that's like in the last couple of days that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so cool?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I'm of course I've been waiting for crossbows and catapults, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
super fun.
There's another one, like almost identical by a European publisher I hadn't heard of. That looks like it's basically the same thing.
Whoa.
And I think it's right around
Like
the
right
corner.
around the corner
yeah.
over
It's basically crossbows and catapults in a smaller box.
That's cool.
And almost exactly the same game.
I've got young kids, so like those kind of things, like I love,
I mean, you could buy both and.
Right, big double up.
But I mean, so I've been looking forward to. I love that. I love just pure childlike joy.
Just
out of the
fun,
game, right?
Like,
Just
I want to play games that fun.
right,
you know.
exactly right. I have my game of this isn't really new to me here, but BGG Con where I just came from a couple weeks ago. I played a Ravensburger game called That's Not a Hat.
Okay.
Which is a sort of cockroach poker-esque bluffing game.
Oh, right on.
Very different mechanics, but it has that feel. Now, Cockroach Poker is a top 5 game for me of all time.
So you're already kind of in.
Well, I am, but that's a really high bar.
Oh,
right?
sure. Also true.
But I'll tell you, this one's a contender.
Oh.
It's and I don't say that often.
Sure.
It has a lot of elements that I didn't think that I looked at it. I was like, I'm not going to enjoy this in any way.
Right.
Because it's primarily a memory game, a memory bluffing game. And my memory's terrible.
Oh,
but,
sure.
But it was amazing. Part of why I think I loved it defied my expectations so much, and I love that games can still do that.
Yeah, for sure. As long as it's always fresh and new, you don't want to get to the point where it's like, well, games aren't fun anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's a danger. It's a real danger. That was one of the reasons why I was dead set on making sure one big con this year, I was just going to go reconnect with being a fan.
Yeah, and you don't get burned out, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to make you pick a favorite child out of your games, which you have like at least 3. What's your favorite game you've made?
All right. Well, so I'm going to game your question. So the answer I have to give, and this is not a cheeky answer.
No.
Right. I mean, it is a cheeky answer, but it's not a cheeky answer. My answer has to be the game I'm working on right now.
Oh, sweet.
It has to be, right? Because otherwise, why would I be working on it if it's not? If it doesn't have potential to be my favorite,
got me.
Right?
You got me.
Now, that's a stock answer. I give that all the time, mostly because it's a hard question for me to ask, right?
Oh, sure.
Like, it's not like, oh, I love all my children. I don't love them all equally.
Yeah.
But like, I don't even think of like in terms of favorites. Like even for published games.
Yeah.
I just think of like, what am I obsessed with at the moment?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I've been playing a lot of Blood Rage actually.
Really?
Lately. Well, I mean, for obvious reasons, I guess, because I'm working on a sequel to Blood Rage right now, and that's public. Don't be like, oh my god, everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm still excited to hear that though.
Yeah, I've been working on it for a long time, and I put it down for a while just like because I have the luxury of time.
Right.
And so I put it down for a while and just decided to just play Blood Rage a little bit, just to make sure like with some perspective of distance. Just
Yes. Yeah. That opens things up a lot, right? It
absolutely,
gives you some other
absolutely.
things.
I still quite enjoy. I still want to enjoy Arcane Academy. I play that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's 45 minutes long, and it's exactly that's my sweet spot, right?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Like,
Sure. Sure.
Like really tight 5-minute teach, 45 minutes gameplay, way more depth than appears on the surface. I love that stuff.
Right on. Right on. Okay. So let me see. This is just a question I like to ask designers
Sure,
because it's not easy. I've never
I
designed
know
a
some
game.
designers.
Yeah, you know a few. Have you ever gotten to a point where you thought like, I might have to quit? I'm so miserable. I
Oh,
hate
God,
this,
yeah.
and you get discouraged.
Oh God, yeah, all the time,
What gets you over the like? So all the time?
all the time.
Wow.
Well, yeah, yeah, like
So
so.
that's gonna make because I have friends that are designers, and they were like, if you talk to any designers, ask them that question. So I would no, I'm sorry to cut
Sure.
you off and step on your answer. But
Yeah, no problem.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, look, the everybody I've known that's any good at this has anywhere from like anxiety to like devastating imposter syndrome,
Oh, right.
And it just happens, and uh, it's not like false humility or anything like that. It's just bad brain juice.
Yeah.
It's your brain keeping like lying to you or keeping you in check, right? Just going like listening to the grand voices of social media or
Right.
the general audience, and like like what new do you have to offer? Like you don't have anything new fresh to say.
Right.
Like everybody already knows everything. Who the hell wants a game from you? type
Oh,
of
right,
thing,
right.
I get a lot of that. Sure,
Well,
absolutely.
Thank you for fighting through that every time.
Oh, of course.
Because-
I mean, so it's just blind hubris, right?
Sure.
There's games I gotta make. They've got to be made.
right.
That's I mean, it's love of the individual, love of and this obsession with the individual games is really the only thing that gets me through it.
Sure.
If I didn't love what I was doing, I'd be like,
Well, yeah. Why?
heck with this.
Right. You can go
Uh-oh.
get a day job.
I'll go get a day job, or retire because we're.
You're not old enough to retire.
I just hit 50 this
What?
year. Yeah.
Oh no.
I am going to retire. I do foresee retirement in my future, but retirement looks like probably what you expect, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, see ya,
Right.
bye industry.
Right.
Like, I just all it means is I'm going to stop writing game designer on my tax return.
Oh.
But I'm just going to keep making games, of course. all the
Sure,
time.
sure,
But
sure,
probably
sure.
probably going close. Retirement for me, I think, looks like going back to when I was doing this as a hobby and just making games for my friends to play.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. How for you? So I've been playing board games for, well, for ages, but in the hobby, like as it is now,
Mhm.
since like 2010, 2011. And for me, I've seen the hobby grow and change
Oh my
and
God, yeah.
morph. So like, what are some of the things you've seen just because you've been around even longer? You're like deep. You don't get much deeper. Like,
Sure.
what are some of the things you've seen, or the trends you've seen or things you like? I don't know. It's a very broad question.
Sure.
Just
Well,
in your experience, like and how it's changed.
Absolutely. Well, so if you had asked me this question even 3 years ago, it would have been a very different answer. So I mean, I think so. Hobby side. So there's two answers to that, right? There's
Yeah.
the hobby gaming side, and there's gaming as a whole, right?
Sure.
Which includes mass, which includes specialty and broad market. I think hobby has been like going on a nice clip. We're getting better and better and better collectively
Right.
at making games. That like to the point where minimum bar today, like the worst game that you would see today would compete with some of the best games from even 30 years ago.
Right.
Like our collective skills, our craftsmanship has gone up through the roof. right?
Sure.
I mean that comes with its own issues, right? But I mean the market is great. The market is crowded. It's been crowded for a long time. I don't
Right.
think it's a bad thing. It's just
Right.
we got a lot of choice.
Right.
I've now in the last 3 years I've pivoted. I pivoted a lot to mass market
Uh-huh.
and mass market, broad market, specialty. Just because like I grew up playing I grew
Well,
up
yeah.
playing mass market games.
Yeah.
And I still love them. Like when if you see me at a con, I'm not off playing Twilight Imperium. I'm playing party games.
Yeah.
Right.
Hanging out and socializing and.
Right. I love those games, and I've never been good at making them. Right?
Okay.
And I hit a point where I was like, I have this body of work that I'm so proud of, right? But I have no games that my family wants to play, that my nieces and nephews want to play.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And that weighs on me a little bit.
Sure.
Like part of my whatever you want to call it, mission, blah blah blah, whatever, is that like I want to make games that are played by a large number of people that bring enjoyment to a large number of people, right?
Right.
And I feel like I've spoken to my audience like loud and clear over and over again. I will not ever stop doing that.
Right. Right.
But I needed to go kind of get my ass kicked for a while, like go start from scratch, go somewhere where I'm not necessarily an expert,
Right.
and just learn a lot, relearn a lot,
Well, that's-
unlearn a lot.
You never want to be the smartest guy in the room, right? You wanna have-
that's no danger.
wanna
I'm
have-
never the smartest
you
guy in
want to
the
have,
room.
like, because you're going to get so many good ideas and fresh perspectives and stuff
Sure.
right, from other minded people,
Sure.
and everything.
So I mean, what when you're talking about trends and stuff, I believe so. I'm always future looking, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so I'm obsessed with mass market right now, but I'm not necessarily obsessed with the mass market of today. I'm obsessed with what I see as the mass market in 5 years.
What could be, right?
What I think it could be. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm designing a lot for this white space that is not quite a bridge between mass and hobby, but just this white space that where I'm working on a lot of games that are my style, that are very theme forward, very narrative forward, and like really highly interactive and all that stuff. But for a mass market audience, so for a much broader audience. And what I'm aiming for is to make games that sort of give that what I call a veil piercing moment. What I had with D&D.
Oh, right.
The first time I played, I was like, oh my god, or Stratego or Magic the
Yeah,
Gathering.
yeah.
Right? Games that like just
Your mind just
expands your idea of what games can be.
yes,
Right.
yes.
And so I've been I've been working really, really hard for the last few years on making some games on that are going to introduce the mass players of tomorrow to to lifestyle gaming like we have it.
Right.
And the difference is so what I see is the difference is like we have this, we in hobby, myself included, up until a few years ago, have this really myopic view of what mass market means, right? We think that means dumb games, right?
Yeah, and that's totally, again, in the last couple of years, changing. But
Well,
yeah, that
yeah.
used to be like, oh, Monopoly, but,
Sure. And
whatever.
even for many years, it's not been that way, right? In the same way that like hobby games doesn't necessarily just mean Fortress America, right?
Right,
Like,
right.
It means we've advanced a lot. So has mass.
Right.
And the gaming literacy among the average person, the person who's not in franchise, is much different from what it was even 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
We have media exposure like way beyond our games.
Well, you're seeing board games in the backgrounds of TV shows.
Exactly
and stuff on
right,
shelves.
exactly
and
right.
Everybody gets excited about that, screen caps it, and then shares it all over social media.
Absolutely. And look, everybody's playing mobile games right now, right?
Yes.
And so there's a lot more gameplay literacy that we can bank on today that we wouldn't be able to bank on before, right?
Yeah.
Because the key to mass is not that, like, the key to mass, in my opinion, is not that, like, it's not that you're trying to make games dumb. Like, people want to be challenged, people want to be engaged, but you have to meet them where they are. That's the difference, right?
Yes.
So with a hobby game, we can assume a lot of gaming literacy, and to the point where it's like, I can't just make a game, like I can't make an auction game today. It has to be an auction with a major twist, or the fresh twist hasn't been seen before.
Right, because there's 100 auction games already, so
That's
you have
right.
to zing it your way, right?
That's right. So now the challenge is I want to make games for mass that do that, but even then still have twists so for our audience, right? I don't want to make a game that's just boring for us that you've seen before.
Right.
I don't want to translate like Cockroach Poker to mass. I want to make
Right.
a fresh game for us
Yeah.
that also appeals to mass.
Very cool.
So that's been an incredible challenge.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's always hard to like. How do I now? This thing's been done a million times. What do I do that makes me stand out?
Right.
And everything. I'll ask you a few more questions, and I'll let you
Sure.
go. I want to. I know you got stuff. You're Eric Lang. You got stuff to do. You got games to play.
I got here at Origins. I got games to play and people to hang out with. That's it.
So when you did like Blood Rage, Rising Sun, and On.
Yeah.
First of all, it's
Mhm.
like the George Lucas question. Was it always a trilogy?
Think of it like it was always a trilogy the way the Matrix was always a trilogy,
Right. This did pretty well.
Uh,
Let's work together more.
But and then
then
go
we
on
did two more.
and then go on interview and say that was always a trilogy.
Always
so.
play.
It wasn't always a trilogy, but I knew it was going to be a series before Blood Rage was released, because
Okay.
while I was working on Blood Rage, I was like pretty like it doesn't happen very often with big box games, but about halfway through development, I was like, holy God, like there's lightning in a bottle here. This is already fun,
Uh-huh.
even though it's broken as all heck. This is already fun. It's already engaging. I'm obsessed with it,
Right.
right? And I want to play it for fun. And so I was like, all right. And so because it's based on mythologies that I grew up with, I'm like,
Uh-huh. That was my next
there's
question.
a small litany of other mythologies I grew up and know intimately.
Mhm.
So I did start working on Rising Sun before Blood Rage was even on the Kickstarter.
Wow.
Well, sorry, that's a lie. I started working on Ankh actually. I was going to work on.
Oh.
I wanted to do an Egypt game
Yes.
before, but I failed to come up with anything. That
It was
compelled
grabbing
me.
your, yeah.
And then Rising Sun, just like I woke up in the middle of the middle of the night and was like, oh my God, of course Rising Sun is a negotiation game.
Oh,
Right.
right. Yes.
And then there was like, and then boom, everything fell into place, right? And
Yeah.
so no, it wasn't always a trilogy. But by the time you guys had seen Rising Sun, I knew there was going to be at least one other game.
Right.
And then while I was working on Ankh, that's when I knew it's a trilogy. That's it.
Oh, sure.
I don't
Sure.
like. There are other mythologies that I am familiar with, but I feel like I've said what I need to say with this
Yeah.
series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the fun things about like opening up Ankh or even Rising Sun with my friends that know the culture way better than I do, and they're like, "Oh, this is this. This
Right.
is this. This makes sense because that's that." You know what I mean? And
Right.
like, all
Well,
of that was amazing. Like,
a lot of it. So I gotta say, credit where credit's due. A lot of that's Adrian Smith. Like,
Oh, very
so
cool.
so I'm and I get in trouble with this sometimes, but like these are not historical pieces, right? They're
No,
not, and they're
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
scholarly works. The point of these were to be my twisted interpretation, because I read these things out of a German folk tales and legends book that my
Nice.
grandmother gave me, right?
oh wow.
And then I forgot about it and I reinterpreted it myself,
Mm-hmm.
and so which is why they're like IPs rather than just
Right.
just mythologies. But I also I was very, very important to me that when I was putting the game together,
Mm-hmm.
when I did the first draft of the game, I would do no research, and the reason why it's like it wasn't laziness, because I did research for them in
Oh, right, right,
development.
right.
But when I started, I wanted to make sure that only stuff from top of mind would get in the game, so I
Sure.
wasn't at risk of trying to put too many deep cuts
Oh, right.
forward in the game.
Right.
I wanted to make sure it was accessible to anybody. You don't have to go study anything.
Right.
It hits on the tropes you understand, and it behaves the way you kind of expect it to.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really important to me for those kind of games.
And one of the things that I love about your games all the time is it's like I can say this is an Eric Lang game, and that doesn't mean that it's like any other Eric Lang game. I mean, there might be a few things here and there that are the same depending on the
Sure.
game, but like I feel like they're also independent. Like XCOM feels so different than Blood Rage. If you were,
Oh,
if
right.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
if I wasn't in the hobby and I just was like playing a game, and they're like, oh, and this one was the same designer, you'd be like, how? You know, because they're so different, night and day.
Right.
You know, and everything. So I love that. Like that.
But just
Um,
wait till next year. I got some games that you'll be like,
I love it.
this guy really interesting.
No, I love it. I'll ask you one more question. I'll
Sure.
let you go. If you could design a game for any IP, what IP would you design a game for?
Oh man,
You can't say the one you're
I'm gonna
currently
give you. I'm
working
gonna
on.
give you a free extra question after this, because I have to give you a
Okay.
cheeky answer.
Yeah, okay. No,
I'm
it's
working.
fine.
I mean,
The game you're working on.
I'm working. No, I'm working on it right now.
Oh, right on. So you
and
can't
I-
say what it is.
and I can't tell you what it
no,
is.
that's great. But you got like a dream IP for a game you're working on right now.
I mean, it's so I've done pretty much every major IP that I've done Lord of the Rings, I've done Star Wars,
Right,
I've done
right,
all
right.
the stuff I grew up on.
right.
There's one missing, but I don't think I'm ever gonna do it. It's too
Obscure.
no,
Oh.
not too obscure. The mechanics of licensing it are way too. It's difficult. Let's
Oh,
just say
sure,
that.
sure. Yeah, it's a thing.
Let's say difficult. But I have a bucket list item that I'm working on right now.
Nice. Very cool.
But I can't tell you. So that's a
No.
cheeky answer. So you can have a free one.
I'll take it. Favorite game of all time, or
Uh,
right? Like for
I'm
me,
good- I
mine
am good-
always changes. Like
I-
depending on when you ask me. But-
always. Yep. And I'm going to give you a cheeky answer. But
yes,
it-
the one you were. Oh, wait, did I already ask you that? The one you're working on? No, I
Nope.
asked you what your favorite
Sure.
game of yours was.
my
but-
cheeky answer is poker.
poker, straight up poker.
It's straight up poker.
Now Hold'em or
poker
five card draw.
poker the umbrella.
Just okay.
So there was a while where I was really obsessed with Horse, which is the 5 variant tournament.
Okay.
Right. Hold'em, Omaha, Raz.
Yes.
And eights and Jesus God.
You're
Saturday.
Fine. You're fine.
I
Yeah.
loved. I love the being forced into the adaptability of changing formats. I love Hold'em.
I mean, it got really big like 20 years ago and
of
kind
course,
of blew up. And
I enjoyed that a
yeah,
lot too.
yeah, same.
5-card draw is actually still my favorite.
Right on.
Just because it's pure bluff.
It
right?
is. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the math is fuzzier. It's harder to play.
I
just
like
odds.
less information because it gives
Right.
me a better chance.
Right. Well, especially right. And but Hold'em became popular because it was such a great. It's the best spectator. Well, that or Omaha, but Omaha's a little too complicated. Like Hold'em is the best spectator variant of it.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Right?
very
Because you
pure
got that
in way.
asymmetric info. Like I get like we the audience know more than the player does. Right. And it makes us feel so much smarter.
Right.
Right.
And then
I'm-
it's it also builds that tension. Like Hitchcock likes to do that in movies,
yeah,
right? You know,
right,
like
yep. Oh, I
the
see the
audience
gun
knows
under
there's
the
a
table.
body in the
That's right.
under the table, but nobody else knows, and you're waiting for somebody to discover that.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah. I get
Yeah,
it.
I love that.
fantastic.
Like so, and the reason I say poker is not because it's true. It is
No,
actually
hey,
true.
that's a game. It's a real game.
But I don't want to single out like published games. But
No.
I am so. Right now, I'm obsessed with It's Not a Hat, which is that Ravensburger game.
Oh yeah.
I also got obsessed recently with the Carcassonne expansion. Mists over Carcassonne? Mists of Carcassonne?
I think yeah.
The
that
new
sounds right.
cooperative Carcassonne.
Mhm.
So Carcassonne also an all-time favorite. It's of all the '90s era Spiel des Jahres games.
Yeah.
Carcassonne I think has bubbled to my favorite.
Oh, right on.
It's held up the best for me personally.
No, I've got Carcassonne. I got Fields and Dells and something. There's another one in
Right.
the-
Well,
you know,
so
yeah.
I wasn't the biggest fan of a lot of the expansions, but this one, Cooperative Carcassonne, just like blew my mind.
Oh,
Like, it's
sure.
it somehow managed to be simpler than Root Carcassonne, which is it's what a feat.
Yeah.
Well, level 1 is, and Cooperative Carcassonne. It was one of those why hasn't this been done like a million years ago?
Right. Like
it was-
what's taking so
It
long?
was so obvious, and I love obvious innovations.
Sure. Yeah. That's amazing. Great. Eric, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
I really appreciate you coming by, man.
My pleasure.
Thank you for being a good guy in the industry and the hobby. You're a champion. We
Yeah,
love you.
thank you guys for doing what
We
you do.
we support you.
This is
So-
a very, you all can't see this. This is a very professional setup here. Like I've been on Hollywood sets, and this is this guy.
Yeah. Wow.
I know that bounce very well, but
Yeah.
you guys are doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much, man. Again, really, thank you so much. You made my day Friday when you stopped by,
Okay.
and then when you agreed to come over and do an interview with us, later on, I was just like, "Is this happening? I can't believe it. We're
It's all good.
gonna get to hang out with Eric for a few minutes. So I really appreciate you, man. Have a
course.
great con. Enjoy your lunch.
You too.
Play a bunch of fun games.
No danger of that not happening, right?
Right on. All right, guys. This has been Eric Lang, and I've been nobody. No, I'm Tim. This has been Eric. He's very kind. Check out his games. If for somehow you've never heard of him, please check out his games. And for the Board Game Rundown, I've been Tim. We'll see you later.
Bye.